Hey everybody, Jason Loucks here, and very often I have people come to me. People basically they come to me for a couple of reasons. The number one reason is they want to get started in real estate, and they want to do it in the most painless, most predictable system. They don't want to, have to struggle and strive and match a little bit of this or a little bit of that, and have to go to 20 different people's boot camps or trainings or whatever. They want a predictable system that takes them from point A to point B to point C and beyond, and they don't want to have to reinvent the wheel constantly, right? The other thing that happens is people come to me because they're already doing well, or they've already done some deals, and they're looking to systemize. Some of them are absolute superstars and they want to do millions of dollars a year. Other people just have done some real estate deals, right? They have bought some properties, maybe they've done a couple of rehabs, and they are more interested in having a system to systemize their business, so it's not them doing everything all the time, right? Well, one of the problems that people run into there's the real estate business is huge right now. There's more people in the real estate business. There's more opportunity in the real estate business than I've ever seen. Foreclosures there's 750,000 foreclosures coming on the market over the next 2 years. Interest rates are low, and buyers are snapping up properties for rising higher and higher prices because they can, right? Because they can afford them, because the interest rates are low. And there's an incredible opportunity right now because of specific targeting, that we can go after exactly the property we want and exactly the area we want. And it's not like it used to be where you had to send 10,000 mailers or 10,000 postcards or whatever, drive around the neighborhood. You don't have to do that stuff anymore. And because of that, it's gotten a lot of people really interested in getting started in real estate. But one of the things that happens when they try to get started is they very quickly hit the wall, boom, where they can't, what I call turn the corner. In other words, they can't make enough money from real estate to quit their day job, and with their day job dragging them down, they can't build their real estate business as big as they want. And it usually hits them after the first, few properties where they're all of a sudden they realize they can't turn that corner. They can't get enough properties to make enough to replace the job, but they can't get any more because they have a job, right? And so what has to happen is you have to have a profit generating element to your business, okay? So, once you get it through your head that you actually have to make a profit in order to actually have a business, right? Otherwise, you've got a hobby, you've got an investment maybe. But if you want to have a business, you have to turn a profit. If you're going to turn a profit, there's a couple of ways to do it. So one of the ways that I highly recommend that you do at some point in your life is you line up your financing. You get those secret lenders, and you have secret lenders that fund your real estate deals for you. This is regular people with investment capital. Often they're busy professionals who have time to earn a bunch of money, doctors, lawyers, physicians, assistants, whatever. They work hard for their money, but then they don't have time to invest themselves, and they'd like to get their money out and working. So they have a good nest egg, an IRA, 401k, something similar, and they'd like to invest in you, right? And you pay them back with interest when you do your deals. And the other kind is people who've been in the real estate game for a long time, and now they're retiring, and they did it. They understand it. They know what you're doing. They know what you're trying to do. Well, that's one way to do it. Get a secret lender to fund your deals and then do a rehab. There's some drawbacks to that, starting that way. One drawback to starting that way is it puts a lot of stuff you have to do in front of you become a professional real estate investor, right? Like now you got to find a lender. Now you got to learn how to do a rehab. Now you've found a lender and you learn how to do a rehab. You actually have to find like a real estate agent who will perform, or you got to go prospect for your own deals. It's a lot of stuff to have to do just to get started. And a lot of people, like I said, they hit the wall. They don't have enough time in the day to do all of that. Well, the other problem that can happen is competition. If you live in a part of the country where property values are skyrocketing, there's a lot of people now who are newbies in the business who are paying too much for real estate. They're doing it over and over again. And, it's just not like it was. In other words, they're paying too much. They watch those TV shows where the people rehab a whole house in 22 minutes. And because there's so many of them, they compete big time for those cash deals. And so if you're doing those kinds of cash deals, it's gotten very, very competitive. Here's what's great about that. A lot of people are worried about that. I'm super excited. Here's what's great about that. You're telling me that the market is now paying too much for those beat up junker cash type deals. That's great news for us because that's what we sell. See, if you're not in the business, people who aren't in the business, they think that those people are our competition. They're not. They're our customers. Okay, we sell as is beat up junkers for too much all the time, because that's what people are trying to buy. Okay. And so where everybody else views them as the competition, everybody else, you know what the difference is? Your so-called competition is out there right now wanting something for nothing. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to get better at finding deals. They don't want to get better at selling them. They don't want to get the resources required. Well, if you're trying to turn that corner and get started, this is a great time for it, because the market is paying too much for those junk houses. So you can simply find one of those truly excellent cash deals, a really genuinely good deal. Don't come, banging down people's doors with crap, right? But once you find a truly excellent deal, the market will snap it up from you, so you don't need the resources to close. You don't have to borrow the money. You don't have to do the rehab. You don't have to do all that stuff. You just take this excellent deal and you pass it on to somebody who wants it more than you, and you get your check right in the middle, okay? And so by doing that, you can get some of those lump sum checks coming in. Now, they're not going to be the biggest checks you ever cashed. If you find somebody like me who does those rehab deals, who has the resources to close, or you find some of those guys out there in your market area who do the same thing, they are cash buyers, they're not going to, you're not going to make a fortune on every deal. But maybe you don't need a fortune to get started. Maybe you need, number one, a lump sum of cash to buy you some time to get the ball rolling in this new business venture of yours, to keep the lights on, to keep the the doors open, to keep you happy and in the checks. Or maybe you need the confidence. And maybe after you do that first deal, even if it's not for the most money you're ever going to make, even if it isn't knocking the ball out of the park grand slam style, but it is singles and doubles and triples. I always tell everybody, listen, if I can get you in business and I can get you to swing the bat, I can teach you how to hit home runs. Well, you don't have to hit a home run your first time at bat. You can do it without experience, without rehabbing, without borrowing money, without having to find a lender or a supply of deals, without having to do all of that stuff that people think they have to get started in the business. You can find an excellent deal, find somebody like me who buys those excellent deals, connect the two of us, and you get paid in the middle. I have students all over the country who get started with exactly that process. Is it the biggest checks you're ever going to cash? Nope. But it might be the one that changes the way you think about this business and changes the way you think about your life and your income. I mean, once you go there, the doors are open. So you definitely can flip those properties to cash buyers. I remember when I first started in this business, and I shared this before, I bought 5 properties my first 3 months in the business, and I thought I was doing great, and I had 3 more deals under contract, and I thought this real estate business is amazing. Yes, I'm working hard to make it happen, but now that I'm put the work in to get started, it's really snowballing. It's really turned out great. So in my first 3 months, I bought 5 properties, 2 3-unit buildings and 2 4-unit buildings, and I thought I was going to have enough cash flow to quit my JOB, and it was a disaster. It basically turned out, instead of making money every month, I was losing money every month and working nights and weekends to keep my tenants happy so they wouldn't move out. And when you don't have any money and you need a plumber, you are the plumber. It was just not a good time. And the banks shut me off. Turns out they have a thing called a mortgage cap where they won't lend to you more than 4 or 5 mortgages. Some banks the limit's 4, some banks the limit's 5. And if you're using your own personal credit and you're using your own personal down payments and your own personal resources, they shut you off because you're not a business. You're not a legitimate business. They won't use your business credit and they won't treat you like a business, right? So I didn't know what to do. I was stuck. And then I figured out, wait a minute. I'm looking for those kind of cash type of deals. These other guys who have the financing lined up, they would like one of these excellent deals. If I find one of these excellent deals, I'll call them. They'll buy the deal. They'll use their money to buy it, their money to fix it and everything else. I'll just get paid for finding the deal. Well, the next 6 months totally changed my life. I made up for all the money I lost on those horrible, evil properties, and I made 6 figures, actually banked 6 figures, like cash in the bank money, not just profits that went out the other side from rent. And it basically changed, my whole outlook on this business. So if you can, and you want to get started quickly, and you don't have a ton of resources, you don't have big down payments, you don't have, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank to buy properties yourself, and you don't have private lenders lined up, and you don't want to have to do all that just to get started, make sure real estate's right for you, make sure you like it, make sure you want to make a profit, you can always find those dirt cheap, those discounted cash deals. And right now the market is clamoring for those. Right now the market wants those. So when you work directly with a private seller who wants to sell and a private buyer who wants to buy, you connect the two in the middle and you get your check cash at closing. It's the easiest thing in the world. and it's probably the best, fastest way for you to get started without using your own money, credit, resources, and everything else, right? Because you don't have to, and of course, while you're building your business on the backs of these, smaller flip type transactions, go ahead and get those resources. When do you think it's going to be the best time for you to learn how to find a great deal? When you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars at risk, or when you're just making, thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars in profits with none of that risk? When would you rather learn how to sell houses? When you've already borrowed hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands, if not more, to buy houses? Or should you learn how to sell them first, right? And so it's a really good choice. So anyway, if this is the kind of stuff you like to learn about, if this is the kind of stuff you think you need to hear and somebody else needs to hear, right? Feel free to share this video. Again, I'm Jason Loucks, and you can find me at secretlender.com. And thanks very much for watching.